Throwback Series. Throughout the summer, we're revisiting some of the most impactful episodes from the Routine Advantage to help you build your 5 foundational routines. By the end of this season, you'll have simple systems and structure you need to feel more organized, reduce the daily stress, and create more time for what matters most. So, in today's throwback episode, we are diving into the 5th and final foundational routine, and that is your budget routine. While this routine does take a little bit more time to set up than the others, the payoff is definitely worth it. Once your budget system is in place, managing your money becomes simpler, less stressful, and part of your regular routine. Now, because there are several pieces to building a successful budget routine, we're going to break it into 3 episodes. So, in part 1, which is today's episode, you are going to learn how to create your base budget template. And this is the foundation of a budgeting system that helps you plan ahead, stay in control of your finances, and helps you build confidence with your money. We are talking money today, and I'm going to be really honest, and it's probably going to get a little bit vulnerable. The topic of money and budgets can be a little touchy for some people, and if me mentioning a budget starts to make you sweat, just take a deep breath and please do not skip this episode. Like, seriously, if it's making you sweat, you probably need to hear this. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage podcast. I will start with a little bit of background on how my husband Tony and I became budgeters and why we will now always budget for the rest of our lives. No matter what our financial position is in the future, we will always be budgeters. And so the reason we have been married for over 14, I almost said 15. We've been married for over 14 years at this point, and for years, we struggled with money. We struggled because we didn't have any of it. I cried every time bills came due. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, bills spread all over, just trying to figure out where the money we had should go first and what could wait. This happened month after month after month. I had way too many conversations with collectors early on in our marriage. And during those months that became years, we had a horrible habit of getting paid, paying what bills we could at the time, and then blowing the tiny amount we had left to go on a date that weekend, because at that point we were so tired and so stressed that we just deserved to have some fun, right? Well, the weekend may have been fun, but then it was almost 2 full weeks of no money, stressing about groceries, seeing more bills come due that had not been paid yet. A charge would come onto the account that we forgot about, and now our bank account was negative, and we sat there knowing that we didn't have another paycheck coming in until 2 Fridays out. It wasn't fun. And it makes me a little panicky just thinking back to that time of our lives right now, because I remember how stressful and horrible it was. And on top of all of that, because the stress would build, Tony and I would get irritable with each other, and our relationship was affected. Not even because we were mad at each other, but we both felt the pressure of wanting more, but never having enough, and feeling like this was a never-ending cycle that just wouldn't change. And over the years, both sets of our parents had given us information about Dave Ramsey's baby step program to get out of debt and to get financially healthy, and we just weren't ready to hear it. Neither of us made any effort to use it over the years. 1, a budget sounded boring and way too restrictive. 2, I was so tired about thinking about money all the time that isn't a budget just going to be another thing to worry and stress about? And 3, didn't you actually have to have money in order to be able to budget it? Like, that was my mindset at the time, and that is where we sat. So we continued on the same path, the same way, year after year, and we didn't even buy a house because we knew there was no way we would be able to afford it. And then, about 8 or 9 years into our marriage, guess what my sister and brother-in-law started doing? They started following Dave Ramsey's baby step program to get out of debt and start saving for their future. And they were so excited about the process and the progress they were making that they would talk to everyone that was willing to listen and encouraging everyone to do it with them. And we got kind of annoyed sometimes because they were so excited about it. And again, going back to those 3 reasons why we didn't want to budget, we listened to them. And eventually, after hearing how excited they were about it, Tony came to me one day, and I still remember sitting in the kitchen in March of 2018. And I remember him standing there looking at me and said, I think we need to try it. And for some odd reason, I still don't know why, maybe Holy Spirit, I have no idea, but all of my resistance to it was gone. And I looked at him and I said, okay, let's try it. So that's what we did. Now, some people don't like the idea of a budget because it sounds restrictive, and that definitely used to be me. But when we started doing this, I saw how it actually does the complete opposite. When you write out your plan, you know exactly where you plan to spend your money, where to save it, and it ends up giving you way more freedom, and it reduces so much stress. I can't even tell you. So we sat down and we created our first base budget. And it was brutal to see how much debt we had with student loans, credit cards, car payments, all the things. But we created that base budget together, and then we started tracking when we spent money. We scrimped and saved and planned, and our date nights became little budget meetings at home where we would pay off bits and little, like tiny bits of debt at a time until it grew to more, and update this little letter board that was at the top of our fridge and showed how much we paid off and what we had remaining. And instead of being stressed and irritable all the time, our marriage was becoming a partnership that grew so much stronger because this was a challenge that we took on together, and it paid off, like quite literally. That day in the kitchen that we agreed to try this was in March of 2018. We could barely make the bills or pay for groceries because we were making next to nothing for income, and we were sitting on mounds of debt and monthly payments just trying to keep up. But on February 6th, 2020, just over 22 months later, we made our final debt payment and had paid off over $33,000. At that point, we were debt-free. And it was an incredible relief. And we were so proud. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. It was such an emotional feeling. And so for the last 3 years, we've been able to completely turn our lives around and have been able to save for our future instead of putting it towards debt. Our money is now ours. Since that time, we bought our first house. We've been building our retirement funds. We've been able to increase our income, which has been fantastic. And honestly, I think the best part is not even the money. It's the fact that it no longer impacts our marriage negatively, and it has strengthened our marriage. Because now, when we talk about money, it's not stress related anymore. It's exciting. It's dreaming about our future goals. It's saving for things that we want next month or next year, and it's making a plan. It is something we're doing together because we are living this life as partners. And this was a challenge that we accomplished as a team. And now we can keep dreaming together. And it all started with that decision to make that base budget, see where our money was going, and make a plan. And I I'm not even a crier, but man, this is making me emotional thinking back to all this time. But I want to help you do that too. If you are struggling with the same things we were struggling with, this is how you can get out of it. I truly believe that a budget is a routine that you have to have in your life, and it is vital for your stress relief, I should say. Now, like I mentioned before, we followed Dave Ramsey's baby step program to get out of debt. And I highly, highly recommend, if you have debt, to do this to pay it off. His program is completely free. It doesn't cost anything to learn about it. So if you are interested in that, I strongly advise you to go check out his resources. It's just daveramsey.com. Now, if you are thinking like, this is what I need, this is what I need to change, I'm here for you. This is what we're going to do, is we are going to help you create your base budget. This is a simple process, but it does take some time. So you are going to be pulling numbers from paychecks and bills and subscriptions and all those things. So give yourself enough time to do this. Don't do it when you're short on time or you're feeling stressed. Listen to this episode, bookmark it, and come back to it when you can. You really want to set yourself up for success right away. So make sure you have some time set aside, grab a nice hot cup of coffee or your favorite beverage. And if you're married, ask your spouse to get on board with you and do this with you. If you're single, then you can absolutely do this the same way. Just ignore if I say something about your spouse and just do it for you. So once you have your pen and paper, you want to have access to all of your bills and things like that. So if you have your usernames and passwords and any paper bills that you have, kind of gather everything together when you sit down to do this, so you're not scrambling and trying to go and get all the things. So at the top of your paper, write down income. And you're first going to list all of your estimated monthly income and add it up and circle the total. Now, if your income fluctuates, use the lower number. For instance, if, say, for an example, your paycheck is anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200, put down $1,000. You can always adjust it later if you need to, but round down for income if it fluctuates. Number 2, once you have all the income in, you're going to write bills. And here is where you want to list out all of your bills: your phone bill, your trash pickup, your electric bill, streaming services, any bill that you have, write them down on this list. And also beside it, write down how much you pay monthly for each of these bills. Now, if a bill amount fluctuates, you're going to round up. For income, we round down, but for expenses, we round up. So if, for example, it bounces between $50 and $70 for a streaming service, like that's an expensive streaming service, but that's just an example. If it bounces between $50 and $70, then write down $70. So this way, you know that you can account for the total payment if it's higher. And if it happens to be lower when you're paying that bill, then you just have a little extra money. It's totally fine. So add all of these bills up once you have them all down and circle the total. Okay? So now we're moving on to number 3. Next is your monthly expenses. So this category covers the things that don't necessarily have a billing cycle, but they're still using money. So our main categories for monthly expenses are food and groceries, dates and social life, household essentials, and gas and fuel. So make your main categories for monthly expenses and then write down how much you think you need for each of these categories per month. If you have absolutely no idea, it's a good idea to go back to your recent bank statements and then just summarize everything and do a little math to see where different purchases that you have made in the past would fall within each of these categories and use that as a starting point. That can be super helpful. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get an idea of how much you're spending in each category and then add up all those expenses and circle the total. Number 4, we're moving on to the last category, and this category is giving. And this is where you want to write down everything that you give. So if you tithe to your church, if you give to a charity, even if you buy birthday presents every month, write down how much you are putting towards each of these areas per month on average, and total it all up, circle the total. So now looking at that, you now have 4 totals circled: your monthly income, your monthly bills, your monthly expenses, and your monthly giving. Like I said, it takes some time to get through all of these, so come back to this episode if you need to, pause where you need to, all the things, and just get through it one step at a time. So now that you have the 4 totals circled, you're going to take your total income and now subtract the bills, the expenses, and the giving totals and see what your remaining balance is. Now, if it's negative, that's okay. This is where you start tweaking, and this is why it's important to have a plan, especially when you don't feel like you have money. So you're going to look back at everything you just wrote down and look at where you might be able to cut expenses. What bills can you get rid of? Can you cancel any services? Can you stop getting takeout and plan a menu that can dramatically reduce your grocery budget? And side note, if you need help with meal planning, go back and listen to episode 4. That will be super helpful in creating a plan and estimating costs and things like that. So go back and do that if you need to. But keep adjusting and tweaking these expenses and bills and all of the things until you no longer have a negative balance in this remaining balance. You might also need to look at income. Now, it can seem hard, but there are a lot of creative ways to increase your income. And sometimes it's as simple as, can you pick up more hours? Or have you ever asked for a raise? It's things like that. Like, seriously, can you sell items in your house that you no longer use just to get some extra cash coming in? There are a lot of options to consider. The main thing is that you need a plan where you aren't spending more than you're making. And that is where we're getting into trouble and going into debt. So we need to stop that. So once you tweak enough to have a positive balance, you get to choose what you do with that remaining amount. Whatever your plan is, you put the remaining balance towards your goal, and now you have a zero balance remaining, and that is called a zero-based budget. And when you have this base budget template, that is what you use it for. You use it like a template. So at the end of each month, you make a copy of your base budget template and you review all your numbers. You look ahead at your calendar, see what you have going on, because life happens, things change. So you want to look at your calendar, see what's happening, and then adjust your base budget for that month. So you're just using it as a guide, because we're not going to have the same exact months, month after month. Every month is different. So this is your guide. You use it as a template, as a starting point, and then you tweak for that particular month, and you plan at the end of each month for the month ahead. So when you're reviewing your calendar and seeing what everything you have going on, you're also looking at your income. Are you expecting a different income? And you make those adjustments for the month. And then you want to take a quick look at your bills. Have there been any changes? Make those adjustments. And then, do you have a better idea at this point what is going to be needed for monthly expenses, or have any of your giving amounts fluctuated? Make all of these changes down the list that you need to, and then total it all up and do the same thing we did to get the zero-based budget. So you do this at the end of each month so that when the new month starts, you already have your plan in place, and you know that as long as you follow your plan, you won't need to worry about money, because you know exactly where it's going and how much you have to spend and where you need to spend it. It won't be perfect, but the more you do this, the easier it gets, and these monthly budget meetings become so incredibly quick. You can prepare your monthly budget in a matter of minutes once you have the hang of it. Like, I could probably go in and do a quick run in 60 seconds now that we've been doing it for 5 years. And And then like our budget meetings have become very quick. In the beginning, we took a lot more time to sit down and really review the budget and make a plan because we were beginners. We were just getting the hang of it. So it's going to take time, but it becomes a really good practice that just becomes second nature, and you will wonder what you did without it by the time you get used to doing it. It's amazing. So now the last thing you might be wondering, like, what am I supposed to do with that remaining balance that you told me to put towards my goal to get to a zero-based budget? And I'm going to tell you what we did because I know it works. So if you follow Dave Ramsey's baby step program, like we did when we went through this process, you're going to stop using credit cards and you stop building debt. That is a commitment that you need to make in order for this to work. You take the remaining balance that we were talking about after you do your base budget template, you take that remaining balance and you put everything extra you have towards a $1,000 emergency fund first. You want to focus on building that fund as quickly as you can. Like seriously, do everything you can to build it as fast as you can. And once you have that $1,000, then you take that extra amount and you throw everything extra you have at your debt. You start with the smallest balance, you pay it off, and you keep moving your way up until everything is paid off. And let me tell you, it is not easy. It's a lot of sacrifice, but it is extremely rewarding. All the struggle that comes along with doing this process is 110% worth it. Like, hands down, I would do it over again. Tony would do it over again. We tell everybody we can about it. And now we're doing what my sister and brother-in-law did. We're telling everybody about it because we're excited about it. So I can't imagine what our life would look like today if we had not started this process 5 years ago. So once you get your debt paid off, that is when you then increase that $1,000 emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of expenses. And when you get to this point, the stress, I mean, it's already melting away during this process. And then when you get to this point, it just like melts off. It is so nice. It is so good. And it does not matter what your income is. It doesn't matter what your bills are. You make the plan and you tweak where you need to, and you can do this. Now, once you do your 3 to 6 months of expenses, there are more steps beyond that. There are 7 in total for Dave Ramsey's program. So like I said, I would encourage you to go check out his resources, but this at least gets you started, and getting to this point gives you a solid plan on what steps to do next. So when you're struggling and stressed about money, a plan is exactly what you need. Everyone needs a plan for their money. Doesn't matter where you are. So I want to challenge you this week to think really hard about doing this and just start by building your base budget and see what it looks like. It doesn't hurt. Go back and re-listen to this episode if you need to. Pause it when you need to keep moving through, and go step by step and just map out your base budget template. That is the first step to getting debt free and getting financially free and having all of that stress just melt away. And before I wrap this up, I do want to remind you that if you have not joined my email list yet, go do that ASAP, because I am putting the final touches on something that you are going to want to get your hands on. I'm so excited about this. I was hoping it would be available by now, but man, it is so much work to get everything set up on the back end. It takes a lot of time and a lot of detail. So it is coming, and it's coming soon. But go to the show notes and get signed up to my email list, and you will be one of the first to hear about it when those final touches are done and it's ready to go. So I hope you do this. I hope you take advantage of going through these steps and building your base budget. But until next week, take care. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.